Welcome everybody to the Age of Jeremy. I'm super excited to be here today. I have a couple of things to announce, but first, if you're brand new to this show or to this podcast, this is a podcast and show all about all the things that I have going on with my business adventures and my side quests. And I just noticed that my line was not going to the right line, so you should be able to hear me better now. But this is Conversations with Jeremy. This is a segment that I started last year or maybe the year before, where I interview entrepreneurs and business owners. But based off of kind of the things that I was focused on at that time, I had to take a back seat. But now we've created it into a live format to go out on the Age of Jeremy YouTube channel and on my podcast. So again, this is something that we're going to be doing on a regular basis, and I have an amazing set of guests here today. I have Bree and Chuck. They're the founders of Kylar and Keera. I'm going to be bringing them up in a moment, and they make smoke accessories. They hand make their smoke accessories, and they sell them on their Shopify, and they sell them on not only their Shopify, but I believe they also sell them at like farmers market types of, well, which is something that we're going to talk about today. But before I get into that, I want to let you know a few things that are going on. If you follow the Age of Jeremy, you know that my business partner, Coach JV, and I own a business called 3T Warrior Academy. What I would love for you to do is head on over to YouTube at TEDx, and Coach JV did a TEDx in Cincinnati that talks about inflation, how our money's being eroded, and how you need to recapture what your hurdle rate is with your investment to at least beat inflation, or you're going to be losing money every single year. Also, my good friend Johnny Crypto from the Good Morning Crypto Show, he also went ahead and did a TEDx as well. They were doing a whole crypto group of people. So I'm really excited that two of my businesses got to be a part of that 3T Warrior Academy. And Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto. And Johnny talks about the benefits of having an exit plan and an exit strategy in market. So again, head on over to TEDx or TED Talks, and you'll be able to find them. They both were released today. And my good friend Pat Kai also has one on there as well, so make sure that you check that one out. The other thing that I want to let you know is, if you don't know, Age of Radio is a podcast network that not only houses the Coach JV podcast, it also houses the Good Morning Crypto podcast, and which is going to be moving to Good Evening Crypto, so make sure that you check that out. But we have over 100 podcasts, from everything for Screen and Country, which is a movie review podcast, Everything I Learned About Movies, which is a movie review podcast. We also have The Healthy Grocer. We have Melanated Memoirs. You need to check them out at ageofradio.com. There are over 100 podcasts that are on our Age of Radio podcast network. And I'm really excited because we have a brand new one that's going to be coming out here. It's called the Come Up Method Podcast. It's hosted by David Smith. Now, his first episode launches on November 1st. Once we get the distribution out, it should be out by the end of next week. And I'm really excited about this podcast because we haven't had a new podcast come on the network in a while, because we have been really focused on certain areas of our growth, certain areas of our management and managing of the podcast. So again, this is called the Come Up Method Podcast, hosted by David Smith. The Come Up Method podcast is grounded in no fluff approach to personal growth, mindset shifts, and momentum building. Again, it's hosted by David Smith, the creator of the Come Up Method, and this podcast delivers raw, short form episodes designed to help you break cycles, reclaim your power, and start building the life that you actually want. Whether you're stuck starting over or stepping into something new, this podcast offers practical insights, real stories, and transformative tools that meet you where you are and help you move forward with intention. So be on the lookout for the Come Up Method podcast, hosted by David Smith, brought to you by Age of Radio. Now, the last thing that I want to mention, and then we're going to get our guests up here, is we have a great interview coming up at the Phoenix Zoo. It's called Dana and the Lost Lizard. It's by a gentleman named Danny Marianino. We're going to be interviewing him on November 8th at the Phoenix Zoo's comic conservation event. So again, you're going to be able to see that live, be available on Age of Jeremy and at Age of Radio. Make sure that you follow both of them or follow at least one of them, and make sure that you check to be notified when we go live. And this will be showing up there pretty soon, so that you can be notified or to get in the waiting for when it actually goes live, and you'll be notified. Again, we're going to be doing a 4-hour live stream on November 8th. That's not this Saturday, but next Saturday, all 4 hours at the Phoenix Zoo. And not only we're going to be interviewing the creator of Dana and the Lost Lizard, which is this right here, we're also going to be having a great segment with an actual live animal. A live skink is going to be there, and Joey, he hates snakes. I was going to try to get some snakes. I was going to try to get something that maybe Dustin didn't like, but we landed on a skink, so I'm really excited. We're going to have a skink come over. We're going to talk about the skink life, whatever that means. Hopefully Chuck is going to be there, who I'm going to bring up here in a moment as well. But again, enough with that. This is about having a conversation with an entrepreneur or a small business owner, as this is the Conversations with Jeremy, a new segment on the Age of Jeremy podcast. So I'm going to bring up our guests here in 1 second, but I have Bree and Chuck. They're the founders of Kylar and Keera. Kylar and Keera is a handmade lifestyle brand that is redefining what smoke accessories can look like, from stunning handcrafted roach clips to one-of-a-kind pieces, including keychains and custom pieces that celebrate individuality. Now, I have known Chuck for most of my life and have recently had the opportunity to meet and begin to know Bree, but I'm excited to sit down with them and talk about their journey into small business. So we're going to bring them up on the stage here. Chuck and Bree, how are you doing?
Hi.
How you doing?
I am doing fantastic. I know that you were smoking a joint a second ago. Do you still have it? You should,
Oh,
you
no, I
should smoke
finished
it. Oh, you should keep smoking
right.
it. You should. You
All
know, I'm just kidding.
I got the rest of this one.
Do you want? You know who you follow Bill Maher at all? So I don't follow Bill Maher,
I'm not
but
gonna
he has a show on his podcast where he gets with people and he smokes. He essentially smokes a joint and drinks, I don't know, whatever he drinks, and they just have a conversation. So I'm a supportive of you being comfortable and doing whatever you want to do inside of the conversation.
Sure.
So how are you both doing today? You having a good day? Do you have to work?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have to work tonight, Chuck? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that just? Yeah. You work still overnights, I'm assuming?
Yeah. Night shift. Third
Yeah,
shift, buddy.
You working on fixing that so you can be on more shows? Just kidding. Yeah.
I mean, I would definitely, if working with you, Jeremy, we've had this conversation, but if working with you could be my full-time job, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
I'm working my ass off to try to make some of those things happen. But you guys are doing a great job, because you guys, I want to make sure I'm pronouncing it right. Is it pronounced Kylar and Keera?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm pronouncing it right.
Yeah.
So I guess a place that I want to start with this conversation is, can you walk me through when you decided that you're going to build this brand? Because I was just going about my life, and then all of a sudden you both had a business, and Chuck was showing us stuff online, and then all of a sudden there was just more and more stuff that you were making. So could you walk me through kind of what happened and that process of when you were like, hey, we have a vision, we're going to start making these, and we're going to start selling these?
Yeah, I mean, so we've only been doing this for a couple of months. Basically, it started out with just wanting to have extra money so we can do things, and go towards that goal of not having to work a full-time regular job, because it sucks. Corporate America. But it came about, basically, we're both artistic. We like to do things with our hands. I had these little clip things already for other art projects that I had done in the past. Basically what they were, that I got them for, was painting sticks. You put small, I like to make little sculptures out of random garbage. It's fun.
But there was remind me when you're done with this. I want to tell you about a cool little restaurant that's in Las Vegas, but continue. Sure.
Yeah. But so I already had some of the parts. Bree had a bunch of beads, and we decided to start making stuff. And that just snowballed into, let's make it a business where we can sell these things, because Bree had one that we had talked about. It was she got it at a 420 festival, and I feel like I'm talking for you so much. But
it's the pot.
Right.
It's-
But so we were using one that she had gotten at a 420 festival, and we were talking about how we could easily make these. We're both artistic. We both like working with our hands. We had materials, so we did. We started making little roach clips, and for that,
we would carry them around with us too. Like we have them on us. You can very easily like clip them to your shirt or whatever, and somebody would see it and they'd be like, "Oh, that's kind of cool. What's that?" Not even realizing truly what it was. It looks like it's just like a pendant,
right.
And then we noticed that people had an interest in them, that they thought that they were cool, especially when we were going to like our dispensaries and things like that. So we're like, why not? Why not? Let's just see how many we can make. Let's do a Shopify. They offer a really good deal when you're first opening up a shop. Right now they had like $1 a month for the first 3 months. And we're like, let's give it a try. If it doesn't work, what's the worst thing that can happen? So we made a bunch of stuff, took some nice pictures and put it on there. And then started realizing that our personalities are fantastic at selling things as well. So then the markets came about.
Yeah, because these are the main thing that you guys do are the roach clips, right?
Correct.
Right. But then again, you have the bead. Did you just have the beads because I like, were they just laying around from like stuff that you had made in the past from arts and crafts, or from making candy, or from going to raves, or from what was the reason you had the beads laying around?
Well, Chuck says that we're both creative and artistic, and I think that's an understatement. We recently moved in together and combined our things, and we have a 6-foot shelf that is just full of different crafting materials, from random pieces of aluminum to
little, honestly,
sandpaper,
taking apart old plastic toys.
Just random things. And I was kind of the same in my own way. I have a bunch of coloring books and the sewing machine and a bunch of beads and just random things. So you put us together and we had this, he had some parts, I had some parts, and just kind of went from there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And too, Chuck, you're pretty, I mean, I obviously I know more because we've been friends for a longer period of time than me and Bree have known each other. But with the creativity piece of it, not only creative from a musical standpoint, but you've actually made guitars. Like you've actually got into like woodworking to do that, because you make them out of wood. Woodworking to do that and to be creative with a lot of things, and also being able to fix stuff. I remember that one time we were at, what was that time that we were, and this isn't maybe well, I guess it was kind of a creative thing, because we were told that we needed to fix a mailbox when we were at Adam's house that one day. And you just went out and we had to figure out what we were doing.
Not to throw anybody under any buses or anything like that, but I get conscripted to do things around my friend's house.
Right.
Because
that's also, I don't know if that's to put them down or they're just taking advantage of you that they don't have to do it. I'm just joking.
Like, for example, I hung a chandelier, like a light fixture in their house. But that's just because I like the ceiling fan. I can hang those all day long. I know how to install stuff like that. I'm handy like that. But
So let me ask a question. So where does the name come from? Because one of the things that I really enjoy are like, there's a few things, and I'm going to talk about them as I go into more about the products. But Kylar and Keera, that's pretty interesting. Like, it's got a good sound to it. So where's the name come from?
Well, I started with as a Kylar as a pseudonym. It's one of my favorite characters in a novel series.
What's the novel series?
I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
The author is Brent Weeks. It's the Night Angel series.
Okay.
And it's about the main character Kylar, who is imbued with this particular device that allows him to have access to a higher level of assassinry. It's a fantasy novel. Set in, I don't even know, it doesn't ever say what world,
like if it's on Earth or if it's in a completely separate like dimension or whatever,
right?
But he uses that name for a few other things. And so then I picked out some K names that I liked, and he picked Keera of the list. So that kind of just became what it was. It's us. It's just him and I, and what we kind of make together.
Nice. So I'm not super into, well, I mean, I occasionally get high, but I haven't in like years now, because it's just I get focused on something and then I completely
Yeah.
don't even think about having fun or doing anything else.
Right.
Although I do enjoy it for meditation.
Yeah. We'll
But
get one of these days, buddy.
But the one thing that I feel like when I go into a smoke shop, we were in a smoke shop when we were in Tucson.
Yeah.
And it seems like a lot of the paraphernalia that's in there is more geared towards either bongs or pipes. But I mean, do they have a lot of roach clips inside of the stores?
No, but I think a lot of it does come down to a lot of people do get their weed from a dispensary. They're getting pre-rolls. And
Oh, right, because you can just go in there and just buy the rolled joint.
So you don't really need the roach clip because it's got enough of that little filter on it for you to be able to light a roach.
Yeah.
But I mean, they sell bud.
Right.
Just flower. And in today's economy, things are expensive.
So
even your recreational choices, you know, you're when it comes down to it, you could roll your own joints just like we used to back in the day.
like we do.
We do. And so, you know, on top of that, you know, what he was just using the roach clip on is a pre-roll as well. Mind you, you can use them with pre-rolls, but they still serve a purpose too. And if you want to save money, why not roll your own joints?
For example, not to name names, but my kid who smokes marijuana doesn't like lighting roaches because it's so small and he doesn't want to burn himself. So it's also
because I get the roach is more geared towards stuff that's rolled in for marijuana, but even when we were younger and we would go and we would smoke, I don't smoke anymore, but we would smoke and we would go through the ashtrays and find like butts of stuff. When you lit the cigarettes, you would burn the shit out of not only your lips because you'd hit the filter or from your fingers because there was nothing to hold on to when you were doing it. So it's the same thing. My question is, so do you feel like from the people that you have talked to about this and the people that you have met at the marketplaces that you've gone to sell your goods, do you feel that there's a gap in the marketplace for we'll just specifically talk about roaches? You know, like are people finding that they need them?
It's fantastic, actually. It's kind of nostalgic for some people. People come by the booth and they're like, "Oh wow,
I had these in 20 years.
I had these, back in the 70s. These are fantastic. Let me pick one of these up." And then we have, the newer college kids that are like, wow, this is really cute. I really like this. This is really cool. I would look so cool with my little, So yes, I don't think that it's necessarily like a necessity as much as it is an accessory. It is truly an accessory type of thing.
And it makes I think it's fun sometimes. Like we've got this really long one and I'll just sit there all like with my pinky out and just,
it's just ridiculous.
Just being silly because I'm a stoner and it's fun to be silly.
Yeah, so they're all handmade. So you guys make all of them in like for each specific piece by hand. And so how do you decide, like, did you decide, because then you went into other handmade stuff. Is the idea just to make these like handcrafted by you guys, each of you, rather than like find a way as you continue to grow to mass produce them? Or have you even thought about that? I'm just curious about like, because you made me candy that's amazing. And if people don't know what candy is, it's like bracelets that you wear at raves and so forth. And so you made me candy that's awesome. And so they feel like they just have a really unique touch to the fact that they're individually made by you.
For sure.
The only thing I had thought of it, and I don't really think we've discussed it or anything like that, but like as far as future ventures with like mass producing and stuff like that, I don't know if that's something that's really viable at this point because of the individual touch that we do put into it. I mean, we can sit here, if that was all we were doing basically all day long, every day, it was just sitting there and cranking them out and just making as many cool things as we can. That way we have a stockpile of like a surplus of inventory. But, it's more, I don't know.
Also too, you don't make the same piece multiple times, or do you?
No,
not necessarily. But we could, like, if you requested a specific one that we had, we'll do our best to match it as close to the original as possible. But it's going to be.
But then also that makes it more unique because then, like, once this piece is sold, you either have to find a person that bought it and hunt them down.
One of the things that Chuck and I was talking about is where we get our materials. We source a lot of our stuff from thrift shops. We'll go and find, bulky old junk pieces of jewelry or whatever and break things down and then make pieces out of those. So you're correct. I can't find that again. I can't just go to
Yeah.
Amazon and buy that piece. That piece is probably a necklace. It's 20 or 30 years old. That's just from somebody's, junk jewelry drawer.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, some of it is it's all unique, and I don't recreate things. There are some things that are like twins, like there might be a set
Yeah.
of two of them or something. But outside of that, no, everything is one of a kind.
Yeah.
It's
One of
kinda
the
like if you request something, we can do something similar to it, but it can't be recreated because we might not even have that beat anymore.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I was going to say, Chuck, well, there's this restaurant that's in Las Vegas that my friend owns. It's called the Rebar, and the restaurant is all recycled materials. So they go and just find junk, and then they take the junk that they find, and then they turn that into the tables, and they turn that into the chairs, and it's crazy because like I went in there, me and Dustin were in Las Vegas last year or this year for XRP Las Vegas, a conference for cryptocurrency. And when we were there, we went and saw Rob, who owns it, and it was like 4 o'clock. It's very punk scene, like a DIY scene, obviously, because it's reused goods, and so there's a huge DIY scene there. But it had some pretty good, like it was kind of, had kind of a good crowd. It was kind of busy, not super busy. And then we got some of the food, and it was effing amazing. And right around like 6 or 7 o'clock, and this was the middle of a week, it got completely packed with like all the locals. And I asked Rob, I was like, is it like this all the time? And he's like, yeah, because this is away from the strip. So all the locals come here, because locals in Las Vegas traditionally are not favorable of the strip, especially if they've lived there the whole lives and it's constant. And so it was just really interesting to see that and to see the DIY scene, because what you're talking about here is more like a DIY type of thing, right? So
Yeah.
like it's DIY, you're making them, you're producing them, and then you're selling these unique pieces. And one of the things that I really loved when I was looking at it was let me see if I can pull this back up on my screen too. Okay. One of the things that I love, so like this here, these are multiple groupings, right? But these are all different that people can buy, right?
Correct.
Yeah. But they're all part of a kind of a collection. So
Yeah.
this is like the Crystal Pride collection. So they all have that theme, but each one is specifically different. And there's only one of each of them.
Correct.
Yeah. Same thing with these here. One of the things that I really love about what you did, and I'm curious about the conversations that you had about this or how you decided on it, but like I'm assuming this one might be named after like possibly you, Bree, but like you have like really interesting like simple names for them, right?
Yeah.
So like here's Aries, Baywatch Babes, and you have like these three. You have Belle. So can you Chuck? I'm assuming that's named after Chuck here.
Yeah.
So Bubblegum Princess. So one of the biggest things, if as you get to spend more time, if you end up spending more time with me, Bree, one of the things that I love are just like naming conventions. Most of the things that I buy are just because, oh, that's a really cool name for it, I'm going to buy that one thing. So tell me a little bit about like the simplicity of the naming, how you can come up with the naming conventions, or is it just, what that looks like?
So I love to sit there and make them, and it's very personal to me when I make them. So I'm obviously smoking because that's what we do.
Because
That's what we
the
do.
theme behind these, and that's what you do. Yes.
Correct. So
That's one of my favorites,
that's one that Chuck made, and he handed that to me, and that just makes sense. I mean, it says drugs on the
Right.
on the
Yeah.
thing.
I thought it was
But then,
funny.
but then the one like you mentioned, Belle, that one looks like a single rose to me, and it made me think of Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
And Belle from Beauty and the Beast. So they just kind of made sense to me as I was making them, what they reminded me of in life, and then they got that name. There's one that was one of my favorites. It's a wooden piece. It's named Janice after Janis Joplin.
Oh yeah, that one's a cool
And it's got like some wooden tassels hanging off it. It just looks very hippie-ish. So really,
Wait, which one is that called?
Janice.
I think it's the one where it's in the
She's right
chair.
there,
Yeah,
yeah.
that one right there.
Oh, that one is freaking awesome.
Yeah, it just reminds me of Janis Joplin. I don't know why. It's just kind of hippie-ish, and then the tassels when I was making it. So that's
Like
what
it
I
looks
named
like
it.
that could be like part of somebody's headband or like little like hippie outfit
Yeah.
accessory.
The Pride collection. This is a really good one here.
Mm.
That's
Mhm.
awesome. And so right on the website here, it looks like it's all just the roach clips. right?
Correct. Yeah.
But at the live events that you go to, is it just the roach clips you sell, or do you sell other things also?
Yeah, I haven't been able to get them up to the website yet, but we do offer other things in the market, and I can show you a couple of those items. So we've expanded out a little bit, and we do like some bracelets. So like these are just like your candy bracelets, but they also then have the roach clip on them. So you can wear it.
The rave kids would love that.
Exactly. and they're fun. This one's, they've got, again, just the candies, but they stretch.
One of the things when me and Alex did a lot of raves this year, and I have one in December. For me, I like listening to the music. I just go for music. I'm not really into any type of recreational activities outside of just listening to the music. But at raves, like it's a really big scene there, because especially with the lights. And then what I did find interesting though is like a lot of the people that go to the raves, they actually have like timed events of when they take their drugs. Like I was talking to a group and they're like, we did a certain shrooms, I think, at a specific time, and then literally they were like, and at 6 p.m. tonight we're doing ecstasy, and then at this other time then we're doing this. And I'm like, that takes a lot of planning to do that kind of recreational drug use at a rave. But it's a full event. But as far as the roach clip goes, even if you don't, like, for me, I would even wear that to a rave even if not smoking, just because the roach clip adds like a different feeling to like the actual candy there.
Well, and it's also for sharing. That's the idea.
That's a good point. Yeah, because you share the candy.
Exactly. You share the candy. You put the roach there with it. You can share the roach with somebody, or the joint with somebody.
Yeah.
So that's the sharing part. Even with all of our roach clips, there's a social aspect to it. Yeah. You share them with people. They talk about it. They're kind of a social centerpiece.
Yeah, Bree, did you have other ones that you wanted to show? I know I cut you off there to talk about raves.
So
mainly because I haven't been to a rave in a while and I want to go listen to music.
You're funny. Well, we can go and I'll make us some candy.
Amazing. We should.
But yeah, no, then we do little miniature ones that we sell as well. And like this one's just like a little wooden guy there. He's just a bunch of different colors. Got like a little blue crystal one. And these are cheaper. These go for $3 at the markets. This one is one of Chuck's favorites. These are just like keychains. So same thing, like it clips onto whatever and it's stretchy.
Oh, that's cool.
Clip at the end. So you can put it on your keys or whatever, and you always have it. And this one says joint custody. It's back. Joint custody.
See, those are the things that I think really sell things. Like those little, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's not like an inside joke, but like whatever you would call that little added piece, like the drugs one is probably one of my favorite ones, just because it just says drugs on it.
Sure. Well, this goes for the naming too. People are attracted to the names. I make little purse tassels, and there was one that had some buttons on it, and it reminded me of Coraline. The movie Coraline. So I named it Coraline, and a girl walked up to it, and she said, "Wow, this reminds me of Coraline." And I said, well, that's what it's named. And we kind of giggled about it. And I said, no, really, like that's what it's named. And she looked at the tag, and I had written Coraline with the button, and she bought it right there off just because it was Coraline.
Don't sell your type short. Not only does most of these get handmade by Bree, she also individually draws the price tags with the name and makes it.
And makes like a little like design to added thing to it.
A little tiny billboard for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What have been some of the so this is your first, I don't know this for sure, but is this like your first business type of venture that you have done where you're out there selling stuff and going to markets and trying to sell a product, I guess, that's your own? Mm-hmm. So what, for people that are out there that are entrepreneurs or small business owners or just creators that want to sell something, because I think sometimes we think that we start side businesses and everybody thinks, oh, you're trying to make it to be this big, huge thing. Sometimes it's just you enjoying something that you're doing and you're selling it so that you can continue to do it and then to continue to have extra money. And it's not like this elaborate plan to become like, I don't know, Elon Musk or something, right? Or whatever.
What's the current goal right now is like make enough at these things to at least cover the cost of making more of these things.
Right.
Eventually, I'd like it to get to the point where the selling of these things is to the making me enough money where I don't have to work. No. I can, with this, I don't need an exorbitant amount of money. Yeah. I just, if it can pay my bills,
Yep. Absolutely.
And then on top of that, your biggest resource as an entrepreneur going out and trying to do something like this, we found there's not a book for this. When
Right.
you're doing something, especially with marijuana, there's no book. There's no one that says this is how you do it. Other
Right.
people are your biggest resource.
Yeah.
You go to the markets and you talk to these other vendors and you find out what they're doing and you find out who they're talking to. And that's how you learn. I mean, you have to be willing to accept help and talk to other business owners.
Yeah, so Bree, walk me through some of that because you're doing it through the Shopify, but you're also going to these markets. So like talking to these other people, these markets, what are some of the things that you've taken away talking to them, or things that you've learned along the way, and some of the like some of the obstacles that you've had to overcome going into going into doing these at live markets?
Sure. So the biggest with the markets, it's finding the right markets. Phoenix is huge, and there's all different little places. You've got Scottsdale, you've got Gilbert, you've got Chandler, Mesa, Tempe. Where do we fit, right? Because we can't be everywhere. So we have to find, one or two markets that make sense for us. We both, work full-time jobs. So we can't spend all week in all these different places.
Yeah.
So figuring out where we fit and where the best place for us has been the biggest challenge as far as that goes. We spent some time in a couple of places and figured that Tempe, kind of closer to the college, made sense for us, and downtown Phoenix makes sense for us.
Is that the one? So I know tomorrow you have a market that you're going. I'm assuming that's why you need the tables. That's not for something else, right?
Sure.
Okay. So tomorrow you're going and doing one of these events. Where is that one at?
It's actually at a dispensary. So it's actually specifically a trick or treat one at a dispensary. And we were going out to El Mirage, which is a little bit further out, but it's getting into that dispensary scene and making those networking connections. I found through talking to people that everybody's kind of interconnected when it comes to these events, especially in the marijuana industry. So we're going out a little bit further, but I'm excited. It's Halloween and it's at a dispensary. So regardless, that's where we should be.
Yeah, that's one of the things that because Alex sells his meat on the street. He sells his street meat. He sells beef jerky, and he's found that same thing, that when he got into a specific, grouping of like a marketplace where they had, that he was involved in, and he found very like this New Mexico. I guess there's a bunch of people from New Mexico that live here, and they all go to these lowrider shows, and they all love beef jerky, and they do tattoos and things like that. So like but the thing is, all those people that he found at those events, they all do these other events, and so there's like this, like, I guess a circuit almost, and then he just follows and goes to these other circuits. But that's the same thing like with us doing the Mercury show at the live events, is that we see the same people, and then they go to these other events, and then you see them there, and then you build those connections, and then that's kind of how it works.
With in Tucson, just being there for the first time, right, in Tucson, having that connection with the owner, or the creator or founder or whatever.
Oh, Brian, yep.
He's already enjoyed our company so much that he's given other avenues for us, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Another thing is, like, one thing that I like to do is we discuss with the customers or the people who come up to look at what we've got. And I will ask them, like, so what do you think where do you think we would fit? Like, I know you're coming here and you are the ones that are liking what we've got here. Where do you see this? We asked them, where do you see this being more profitable for us?
Right.
Just because, like, they would know, like, where are the places that they would go and hang out.
One of the best ideas we got from a customer very recently, he came up and he said, many, many years ago, he worked at a smoke shop, and they had a girl who brought these in and would sell them directly to the smoke shop, and they displayed them at their counter for her and sold them. He said,
wow.
You would make a killing. Go find one of the big smoke shops and sell them to them. That's a brilliant idea. That's something that I didn't necessarily think of, and he gave me a couple of names of a couple of the bigger smoke shops. He's like, I know the guy who runs this one. Go talk to them. Great. That's just a random customer who walked up and was like, hey, this is a really good idea. You guys should do something.
I think one of the things that's happened over, I started my first, I kind of started a business before I got into doing businesses with Coach JV. It was more like vending machines and more all geared towards candy and ice cream, because I love candy and ice cream. And so, but when I started doing the Coach JV, podcasts and we started Age of Radio and we started JV Impacts and 3T Warrior Academy and everything, it was so like everything was really going towards social media. And so over these last 8 years, everything has just been, let's do more social media, let's do content marketing, let's do all these, these online things. And the funny thing is that I feel like people have forgotten about just going and meeting people in the area that they're at and really building good network connections. Because, for example, Chuck, when we were at, the reason why we have the Phoenix Zoo thing on November 8th is because we met the guy at the Tucson Comic Con, and then he messaged me. It was like, oh, you should come and do this Phoenix Zoo thing. And I told him, I was like, hey, look, we don't get a lot of views. This is a brand new show. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm even doing with it. And he's like, no, I just liked it, and I think it would be fun. And so then that now opens up that avenue because it was something that he enjoyed and thought that the zoo would enjoy it. And then at that same event, the guy from when we went to Game On Expo, that gentleman that we met outside, I don't know if you remember that he was the white guy where we had them go and get him. And then we waited and we came. He actually, I didn't know this, but was the actual owner. So then he saw us at Tucson. And then he said, just make sure to reach out to him and he'll give us whatever we need. Well, I mean, we probably have to pay for the booth, but at least that way we're automatically into Game On because now they're starting to see what it is. And then that's how you build those networks and the connection in the network. And it's the same thing what you're happening. Same thing with Alex. Alex was at one of those New Mexico like people from New Mexico, and one of them told some guy that worked at a detention center. Now they buy stuff for him for the entire detention center. Like that,
Another thing too is that marijuana and beef jerky go hand in hand. So Alex and I.
That is very true. That is very true. I need to reach out. I've reached out to him a few times. He's been busy. I don't know another person that's done more raves than him. I think he goes to a rave out of the state. I think he's had one twice a month since like the middle of the year. I give him kudos.
Well, and we're also in a post-COVID world. We have to remember that too. As far as like the social media connections and trying to get connections, face-to-face conversations weren't possible for a long time. Markets didn't happen. That kind of stuff just wasn't a thing. So, I mean, getting that back, people are kind of scared of each other now. It seems like, you've got to be willing to put yourself out there and have a personality and talk to somebody. Chuck is fantastic at the booths. You already know how he is. We have a prize wheel for kids. We give stuff away for free, and
it's fun to get the adults.
You give them marijuana away for free. No, I'm just joking. I'm just kidding.
It's fun to get adults to spin the prize wheel. And she's always like, no, get them to follow us on Instagram. And I always forget about that because I just think it's funny to see the joy of an adult. Like, let's play. Playing is fun. So go spin the wheel, win a prize. You get some Play-Doh. Honestly, bubbles. I've seen some grown ass men get all excited about a little vial of bubbles.
Well, you're right, because everybody has this pre-notion. It's the same thing that people,
for kids.
Right. They think that everything, and the thing is that other than just you aging, like, do you really have to change the shit that you enjoy because you get older? Like, one of the things, when I was talking to Mega Ran at the Mercury thing, he brought that up, that he's 48 years old. He likes video games, anime, and comic books and wrestling. Why should he stop that? So he just started rapping about it. Like, he just raps about it because it's shit that he enjoys. Like, why should you have to stop the things that you enjoy just for the mere fact that you get older? And that's why when we get together and we haven't been, and now that you're in the new house, we need to start playing again and writing. But like, that's the fun thing about doing that. Like, you don't need to stop stuff just because you get older. Life is still life. You just and hopefully, as you're making more money, you can do more fun things because having a job now as you're older, right?
I like skipping, and like one of my favorite things is like with my youngest kid, we just skip whenever we just skip through the store. Like, I'm a grown ass man skipping in the store, and I don't care because it's fun. And skipping is one of the funnest ways to get around.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
100%. Teleportation would be a fun way to get around too if we could teleport,
depending on how it works. Is it like a molecular deconstruction and reatomization somewhere else?
Right. On the website, it says smoking accessories. So I have a question. So these are clearly roach clips. Roach clips are traditionally for marijuana. Is the smoking accessories being said on there because Shopify is anti-marijuana?
I don't know that it's necessarily anti-marijuana.
You have to be careful. There's states that's legal, but not federally, right? Correct. So a lot of these like TikToks and Instagram and Shopify, sorry.
Oh,
They
did I
all,
say I could have said Spotify too, but yeah,
they all have
could have
algorithms.
been me that started that.
And you can be suppressed. And if you use certain words, they don't want you to do that. So for example, if we wanted to do a live on TikTok, we couldn't talk about marijuana. We would have to use another word such as celery or broccoli
or green
or something else.
Yeah.
We couldn't use certain words. It's just, we have to be careful.
kind of like the unalive type of censorship of like this word will get it triggered in the algorithm.
Yeah.
So
One of the things that has been interesting to me over these last couple of years is, so my business partner, John, Coach JV, he went on a spiritual journey with plant medicine. And he goes to Peru at least once a year. For a while there, it was like, I think twice a year. Now it's once a year that he goes. And his anxiety, depression, past trauma, all of these things have been helped from him going and doing this plant medicine that's completely illegal here, that you can't even do here. Shrooms has the effect of doing that as well. That is medically available in Oregon, I believe, medicinal shrooms. But not in most places can you do medicinal shrooms even for benefits of depression, anxiety, I don't know, dealing with shit in life, because life is hard.
yeah, I will say I would recommend it, but
life, you wouldn't recommend life?
no, I would recommend like shrooms.
Oh, you said recommend shrooms. I thought you said I wouldn't recommend life either. If I, no, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I didn't
so
have anything to do
marijuana.
with it. I just happened to be where my parents.
Yeah. So marijuana. So with marijuana though, it does like similar stuff. It can reduce pain. Like I use it. Like I have I take that back. I guess I don't smoke marijuana. I use marijuana for like salves all the time, because the THC salve is just amazing, because it takes away it hits the pain receptors, and then the CBD helps relax whatever the issue is. So like I had an issue right, you can't see where I'm pointing, but like right here. And so I would use a salve on it, or a balm. Same thing when we were in Tucson, I bought some for Dustin for his back, and it helped with his back, or for his arm too, not his back, his arm, and it helped him. So you can reduce pain. It helps with anxiety and stress. It can hands down help with sleep, can help with appetite. It can help with neurological and mental health conditions, and it can also help with anti-inflammatory. So my question is, with all these benefits of marijuana, for each of you, did you start with marijuana just for recreational? Was it like doing something for like one of the benefits of it, and then you learned about the benefits? I'm curious about your journey with marijuana, and why it's important to you.
You start. Okay, so I started smoking weed prior to meeting you, and we met when we were 12.
No, I was going to say we met when we were really young, so
Yeah,
that was really young.
In 6th grade, I smoked weed in the bathroom, right? And then I just throughout my teenage years, I smoked weed, not like heavily, but if I had an opportunity to have it, and I would, especially more towards the end of it. But then by the time I was at the end of my teenage years, I was married and had kids, so I started smoking weed until it became legal here. And then since it became legal, I don't know how many years ago it became legal for recreation.
It was 2020 or 20. It was during in Arizona. It became legal recreationally. I think the same year that it was either in one of the off years, so maybe 2018.
I think one of the 18 or 19. So since then, I've been consuming marijuana on a very regular basis, up to a point where now it is a daily basis.
Is it recreational?
I would say for me, it's somewhat recreational, but for the most part, it is self-medicating. I was a few years ago diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and I don't have access to medication for it. Ran out of that medication almost 2 years ago, and I find that it's like through not only just consuming marijuana, but it also helps me to be more mindful. It helps me to be able to communicate and say, hey, these are the feelings that I'm having, and be able to help me walk through those things, with like a meditatory type.
Right, like a meditation, or like a mental health practice, or like a
because it does sometimes feel like I can smoke a little bit, and I can feel where I can slow down my thoughts to a point, because I get manic sometimes.
Yeah. So when you're so real quick. So if you're manic, and thank you for sharing that,
Mhm.
Chuck. I appreciate that. With the and that can be very hard with the manic spells of the bipolar. When you're manic for a period of time, like does indica help you? Does it slow you? Does indica slow you down to a different point, or slow the manicness down, or is it still sativa that helps so you can just keep it like? Does it matter? Is it different,
I
or how does that work?
it usually matters. I hardly ever smoke a sativa. I mostly
Oh, you're usually smoking indica.
almost all the time. But we were having a conversation about it before, where it's like, in the past, certain pain medications have different effects on me. Like where some people it would get really really sleepy. I get really hyper and my nose itches when I'm on certain pain medication.
Yeah.
Like indica doesn't necessarily do what to my body what it might do to somebody else's. Like
Right. When I take indica, I fall asleep in like 4 seconds. I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm so tired and exhausted. Like I don't even enjoy being high when I smoke it because I'm just like out. Yeah.
But yeah, sativa does have a different effect on me. I think sativa exacerbates my mania sometimes.
Well, that's what because sometimes if I smoke too much sativa, my anxiety goes like through the effing roof. Like I'm like, oh my god, like, and it could be not like a paranoid type of thing, but just from like, like just anxiety just gets exasperated, like overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not to plug anybody, but we went to a one of the dispensaries we go to. There was a representative for Baked Bros, and she was talking to us about these gummies that they have. They're a sativa gummy. They're made specifically for happiness with the sativa strands. And she said nowadays they've figured out that there's something in the sativa that does that causes that anxiety and that feeling. And they're working on putting an additive in gummies that stops that from happening. So things are changing all the time. Something that didn't used to work for you you never know,
Yeah. Well, for Bree, do you mind sharing like your journey with marijuana?
Sure. A little different, but similar too, actually. I started smoking right after high school. So I was like 17, 18 years old every day. I lived in the Midwest. It was not legal.
It probably still isn't legal in the
Midwest. I'm from Indiana, and I don't know that it ever will be.
Yeah.
A lot of that I think has to do with Eli Lilly being based there, but that's a whole nother.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. The pharmaceutical companies have a way of not wanting you to get any type of help for anything
other than what they provide,
what they're making for you. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So definitely recreationally. About 8 or 9 years ago, there was a conversation with a psychiatrist, and where I say similar is I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder.
Yeah, I was diagnosed with that. Yeah.
So
a long time ago.
I was also self-medicating and not realizing that that's what I was doing. So it definitely, just like it helps calm my brain, it slows me down. It makes me stop and think about the things and the decisions that I'm making. October of 2023, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I had to have a double mastectomy. And so with marijuana being a big part of my life, obviously I was very concerned because I couldn't smoke. I wasn't allowed. So I had to spend a lot of time at the dispensary with the bud tenders, which talk to them because they're very knowledgeable. If they're not, go to a different dispensary. But they were able to talk to me about different edibles and tinctures and things that are high potency that would be able to break through my high tolerance and help me deal with that kind of pain and that stuff that I was going to need. So it's been both for me. It's been both a medicinal as well as a recreational.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
I think it's a both situation. I think most people who do imbibe in some sort of like intoxicant are doing it to self-medicate, whether it's with alcohol or any other drug. You're just
I agree with that. To some
people who have an addiction to just like their smartphone or whatever it is, that's
food.
Yeah, any type of addiction, whatever it's doing to your brain. It's all about the chemicals in our brains and how our physiology is. And this is, again, just my opinion. I'm not a fucking doctor, so pardon my language. I am the foul-mouthed heathen. So what was I saying?
Do you think the marijuana causes you to forget?
I don't remember.
It is.
I mean, I'm just curious because
it definitely
It does. Like, I mean,
because like, okay.
short-term memory is trash. That's definitely a.
I will
that's
get
definitely a
stopped
reality.
in mid-sentence and forget what I'm talking about sometimes. That is a risk you run, but at least
But
I'm
do you think that that's a risk because you smoke so much? Do you think that like a person that smokes like on the weekend or something and sits there, do you think that would eventually happen to them? And do you think that well, and the other question is that I have, and maybe you know this or don't, but you might have a thought on it. Do you think that it happens because of smoking it, or do you think that would still happen if you ingested it?
It's happened to me both. It happens while I'm intoxicated. If I'm not,
Oh God, okay, that makes sense.
It's a byproduct of having had a chemical fuck with the chemicals in my brain. You know, I am ingesting something that is altering my state of consciousness in a way. It does affect our brains. So while you're consuming a product like marijuana, be careful, be cautious, be safe, because it's not always going to be firing as well as it would be without it.
Otherwise,
And try to do like trivia, you might not be as good at it. You know.
Yeah. Or as quick on your feet, it might just take you longer to come up with the trivia answer. Right?
Or for me, sometimes what happens, and I don't have a great memory to begin with, but like if I am high, I will be having a conversation, and that conversation usually can be very meandering. And if I get paused in what I'm saying, I can't immediately go back, and sometimes I forget what I was just talking about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Where do you see the marijuana industry going into the future? And there's 2 points. So I want your opinion on this, and I just want to ask you if you've heard of this kind of like some of the strain manipulation that I've heard about in the past. But where do you see marijuana going in the future? Do you think we'll see a federal deregulation of it, or do you think it'll just stay state, or where do you see it going?
I think we've come close to the deregulation on a federal level a couple of times. But as far as like specific regulations, as far as like who gets it and the rules and all of that, I think it needs to stay the way that it is. I think that from a medical point of view, there are risks, just as there is with anything. It's not made for everybody, and people need to be careful. As far as the medical or the marijuana industry, there's 2 different branches, right? There's the recreational and the medical. So I think on a recreational point of view, you're going to see a lot more businesses open with food, restaurants, bars. I think it's going to become more of a socially acceptable thing right alongside alcohol. Just like there's alcohol bars, there's going to be weed lounges, there's going to be restaurants with infused food. And then medically, I think that they're going to continue to we're always learning about the specifics. It's not just THC. It's not just CBD. There's so many different little molecules.
So many. I can't remember off the top of my head how many different cannabinoids there are in cannabis that also affect certain receptors, the cannabinoid receptors in your brain. So there's a whole neuroscience to it.
So we're going to see more specifics. We're going to see a lot more of these like certain ones put together to treat specific things. We're really going to learn more about these specific ones and how they help. Which ones help with sleep? Which ones help with this? And get rid of all the excess and just really focus down on it.
Right. So that would be the cannabinoids. That the different cannabinoids are the things that they can kind of not manipulate, but extract more of that once. Or say again, Chuck.
Or even breed for it.
Yeah, right. Okay, because that was the thing that I was gonna ask if you'd heard of this. I remember when when it, like, at the time that more states started deregulating marijuana, that there was a lot more like conversations about marijuana. I feel like I think some of that's kind of gone down unless you're hyper into the marijuana scene or you're in the marijuana scene, right? But they've talked a lot about that there are certain cannabinoids that can actually help with type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes. And so my question is, apart from pharmaceutical companies trying to exploit this and prevent those things, do you think that we'll start to see that happen here more in the future? Maybe not specifically with diabetes, but with them taking the cannabinoids and making them more where you're utilizing this specific product for sleep or this specific product for diabetes.
I mean, they're already kind of doing that with the strains that they have available to you, even recreationally in dispensaries. They're going to give them to you as far as what the effects that they may have on your body. So on the packaging, it may say uh, something to do with the effect of like calm or sleepy or things like that. I mean, it kind of does kind of break them down into those categories, depending on the type of strain it is, or if it's a hybrid strain, if it has this much, if it's more of a indica or sativa dominant. Also, Bree's been teaching me, or not necessarily teaching me, but we've been talking more and discussing more about terpenes.
Oh yeah, that terpenes. Yeah, so, is it the terpenes that would do those types of things, or what are the terpenes? Because I don't understand that part that much.
I think because all of these parts and these elements of the cannabis plant, I mean, there's like, for example, like if you have people, the homeopathic people who are like, don't put chemicals in your body, and then you read the list of the ingredients of what's in an apple, when it's
like everything that's just chemicals, like there's no tomorrow.
Everything's chemicals. Everything is chemicals.
So, but what are the terpenes? What specifically are terpenes? I literally don't understand it or know anything about it.
Yeah, so there's typically in each strain, there's going to be a combination of terpenes, right? So you have an indica strain and they'll say it's King Louis the 8th or whatever it is. And it's got high limonene and pinene and whichever ones. They're each going to have different effects. You know, we know that, for example, in most indicas, we see a lot of limonene. Limonene is one of those that's going to make you slow down. It's going to make you sleepy. It's kind of the same thing as the noise. It's just...
it's like the idea of tryptophan.
Yeah. And you're just now starting to see a lot of these... growers actually putting terpenes on the labels because people are realizing it's not, everybody's like, oh, it's a high THC percent. That doesn't mean anything. What means something is the other items. It's just people are so enamored with that high THC percent, they can sell it on that. When in all reality, I've had 19% THCs that have a really high terpene count, and those are way better.
Yeah,
I mean, just don't realize
weeks ago, my head was kicked by a 23% THC, and I can't remember what the rest of it was, but I'm like, it got me pretty good. And then a couple of, not even like a week later, I had something that was like 40%, and it was like, meh.
Yeah, so it's not that. We're going to learn more about that. True smokers and people who want to learn more and learn about the cultivation and how to use things that are going to help them specifically for certain ailments are going to learn more about that stuff. It's coming out. It's just taking time.
Mm-hmm. And I think closer we get to a federal deregulation is when we're going to see more of that. Be like you were saying with the small amount of like where the places where psilocybin is decriminalized, where the medical studies can be done. It's only in that small spot. The broader it opens up, the more it opens up to federal deregulation,
and the more that they stop. Right now, it's a fight with the state. The federal and the state are not working together on this. They're fighting each other. So you have states say, okay, these are the regulations, and then the feds come in and say, oh wait, I don't like that childproof packaging. I want you to redo that, and then they have to accommodate that.
Right.
So once that stops and they stop wasting money on stupid things like repackaging, then they can spend it on things that matter.
Yeah, one of the things that I thought was interesting, because you can't get a bank account if you're a marijuana company because of the federal regulation on it. But what I thought was interesting when we were down at so which case most of them take cash. But when we were in the one in Tucson, they allowed me to use my debit card. And I asked them how they were doing that. And he said, well, essentially what they're doing is in their system, it's doing cash back and then they're depositing it as cash, which I thought was really interesting. But that's also a pain in the ass, to be honest.
Kind of like money laundering?
Yeah, that's right. That's what I was thinking. I was like, isn't this just really a form of?
Yeah.
But I mean, to be honest, you have to money launder when it comes to marijuana, or you can't get your money into your bank. What are you going to do? Sit there with a shit ton of freaking cash in your freaking? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I find that the fact that most dispensaries have to operate as a cash business does leave it open to a lot of corruption.
Well, yeah, I guess too. They can't put the cash into the account. That I guess wouldn't be money laundering, because what they're doing is they're essentially no. I'm just thinking about it, because what they're doing is they're doing an intermediary ATM transaction with the cash back. They're not depositing it into a bank because they can't get a bank account. The money laundering would be if they found a way to take that cash and to get it to the bank account without the bank knowing that it was a marijuana business.
Yeah, no, they're just an ATM basically. Is what
correct. That's what they're doing. That's what they're essentially doing without making it seem like that's what they're doing from the customer's perspective, which made it much easier to buy it, because that's, I mean, that would be the thing that would stop me the most. Like, I don't have any cash. I have to go stop and do an ATM to get cash and then go to that'd be drive me freaking
That was
crazy.
part of my routine, man. I would put it in because like now you can order online. You can order the stuff at your dispensary. You can just
Then go pick it up.
Mhm.
Yeah, once it's ready, you just bring your cash and
Yeah.
you pick it up. So I would plan like, okay, so I'm going to put it in this order, and in about an hour and a half, I'll have gone to the bank and be on my way to pick up my order.
Yeah, that's a good
With
point.
the amount of cash that I need.
Or you can just actually pay at the bank through the app nowadays.
Yeah.
That you can just literally like attach your bank
Nice.
through a thing and you just pay
Nice.
for it that way.
Well, thank you for sharing that about the marijuana. Where do you, to go back to the business though, where do you see the business? Like what's the goal to get it to in a year and a half? Is it just I know that Chuck had mentioned that it's really to make it where it can pay some of your bills or all of your bills. So maybe you don't have to, be stuck in the corporate rat race and you're doing your own thing. Is that kind of like the main goal? Like, are you wanting to expand products? Cause you have the bracelets, you have keychains too, right? Or the keychains built in?
Keychains. We do
Are the
golf-
keychains built in as the roach clips though?
No, these are.
Oh,
these,
they're just separate keychains. Okay. So you have the keychains, you have that. So what's the goal look like for you, or where you want to be in a year and a half?
Well, two things. One thing, I'd like to do more art and like more long form art stuff that like I have a 3D pen and I like to make little sculptures. So
Got
like
it.
I also like to paint and draw. So like if I could do bigger art pieces that might sell, that'd be cool. I wouldn't scoff at that, but more going towards like a social media presence where we discuss stuff like we've been just talking about, the different terpenes, the different cannabinoids, the different
the news, what's happening, because a lot of stuff people just don't know, and especially with specific strains of marijuana and things along those lines. We've talked about maybe having a show with the two of us while we create our items and talk about what's going on in the news of marijuana, medical and recreational, and then also the different, maybe how do we bake something with something, how do you use these items, other things.
Do you do baking? So do you do baking with flour, like marijuana right now at all?
We've been playing with some recipes, like some ideas of different things. Like you have to be able to infuse the butter and things like that.
You first have to decarboxylate the weed, and then you have to use that to infuse a fat substrate so that it can absorb the cannabinoids and the THC.
So it's not like really just taking flour and throwing it in a batter, mixing that bitch up. Excuse my language, and then just making something with it. There's more that goes into it.
There's a lot more that goes into it.
Correct. And you can just, again, just like you can buy pre-rolls, you can buy oils, you can buy tinctures, you can buy all of those things. But why, when you can save money and make your own potencies, make your own. We are serious smokers. I can smoke things that are higher potency than most. So, being able to make my own oils and my own butters is beneficial. And teaching others how to do it would be a goal.
This is basically an electronic dab rig. So I just took a dab while we were on this chat, and like I've got a high tolerance, is what I'm saying. So
in regards to that, do you think like there's still certain doses that you can get at the dispensaries that are only for people that have cards, right? Or right. So do you think that at some point you'll just not have enough dose, or you just have to take more and more marijuana to get the same type of high, or would you need to have higher dose, like individual?
To be honest,
stuff?
like I could eat a whole 100 milligram of the gummies, and that would be what I would probably need, and that's just my tolerance level. I mean, you get up to a point where you just don't get any higher anymore, and no matter what you eat, it's just you have to take a break, pretty much.
Do you think for the regulation piece of it, they need to make it where there's not, like in places like Arizona where there's recreational and medical, that they just get rid of the medical amount and they just open it where anybody can buy any dose? Or do you think you need to have that?
There has to be a regulation. From a medical point of view, I have a doctor in my family who we've had conversations about medical marijuana, and she's a proponent of marijuana, but she does not like the way that it's happening now. She thinks it's too easy. That she's from a psychiatrist's point of view, she sees people who should not have access to marijuana, who have had psychotic breaks because they have potencies that are far too high now with things like the wax that Chuck was showing you. That's something that is a very high, strong concentrated of THC. And somebody can smoke that and have a psychotic break. So there's already not enough regulation, if you want my honest opinion.
So you think it should be available recreationally, but then there should be certain things in places based off of maybe an individual that isn't able to get access to it, or how would that look, or we even lower the doses, or what would that look like?
I mean, on one hand, I know that there are people out there who can just down 3,000 milligrams of THC and be freaking blasted out of their mind, but don't have a psychotic break. They just have that high of a tolerance. I don't see the point. That's, in my opinion, that's wasteful. Just slow down, take a break, enjoy your 100 to 200 milligrams. It's fine. You're not going to,
I mean, ultimately, I'm a medical card holder. I think ultimately, all it's doing is giving me the ability to buy more. My medical allotment, instead of only being able to buy an ounce with recreation, I can buy 2.5.
Got it.
It's significant, right? So it allows me to buy more, and then it allows me to buy edibles that are of a higher dosage.
Right, correct.
Instead of a 10 milligram, it's a 30 milligram edible. Ultimately, the medical card itself, I sat face to face with a doctor who saw I had a cancer diagnosis. That was the end of the conversation. He wrote me my card. There was no conversation about, what other medications I'm taking, about what my medical history as far as my psychology. There's not much of a check really.
Right. So you think there needs to be that medical card mediary in there for the higher doses,
or get rid of the higher doses and just make it all recreational, because ultimately the medical card is just giving me access to more weed. That's all it's doing.
Got it. So it would sustain stopping the amount of the But so you don't think so? I guess my question is, if you just got rid of the medical marijuana card, you keep the recreational doses, the lower recreational doses, and not be able to buy more.
Yeah, I think the recreational doses could be a little higher, but maybe up to 500 milligrams, as opposed to just 100 milligram dosages that it comes in now. Because again, like 60 to 100, that's a Tuesday for me sometimes. You know what I mean?
And again, we're also only speaking in states where it's legal medically and recreationally. There are some states where it's only legal medically. So if that's different, right? But once it's open to both, the guidelines, you're just enabling people to, I pay $250 for 2 years, and then it allows me to pay less in taxes. It gives me a higher allotment. And that's pretty much it. Yeah. I mean, I would say maybe continue to give us the higher allotment, but I don't see the point in the medical card. I really don't, other than a way to make money. Yeah.
Bree, real quick, where do you...
To go back to your point though, about like certain people should talk to your doctor if you're just using marijuana to medicate yourself.
Yeah.
Talk to a psychiatrist. Like, you never know. You might have that dose that makes you...
Right, it could be a dose that's actually enhancing the problem.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
because that would be my case. If I take too much sativa, it would make my anxiety freaking crazy.
I mean,
if I was going around smoking all the time, and I was like, shit, my anxiety's fucking out of control.
Sure.
Right? I would want to know, this is actually happening because of the amount of marijuana that I'm smoking.
Right. And then you switch from sativa to indica, and you're like, I'm still feeling anxiety when I smoke. Maybe I shouldn't smoke.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's something else that's causing or triggering this anxiety that can be mitigated by or helped with by other means.
Yeah. And Bree, where do you see? I know Chuck said that he wants to get more art pieces and things like that with Kylar and Keera. Where do you want to see the business in a year and a half?
I'm actually very content. I'm very happy just making pieces on the side, and I enjoy doing the markets.
You're happy with your side piece?
We enjoy doing the markets. It's actually fun to do it together. We take our dog out.
That stuff's fun, but continue. Sorry.
It's good time, and if we get with the right group of people, we can make a little bit of money. So it's almost kind of like, Saturday nights, what are we going to do? We're going to go to spend money? Okay, well, let's go spend some money to put up a booth and then spend the evening at a market and meet people and talk and have fun. I would also like to put our stuff in smoke shops. and try to figure out a way to get them to sell without us being actively there to sell them.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the trick.
Mhm.
That's the trick
Or we
to
could sell
entrepreneurship.
them to them in bulk or something.
Is where things can be sold while you're sleeping
Mhm.
or
Correct.
when you're not there. Yeah. Where is your event tomorrow night? If people are watching this now, or I guess tomorrow, and they
Sure.
want to see, go and check you out. It's in El Mirage. What dispensary is it at?
Deeply Rooted AZ is the dispensary. It's just Deeply Rooted in El Mirage.
And what time?
We're going to be there from 5:30 to 10.
Nice. I'm gonna come and swing by.
Yeah. And they
So,
got there.
that'll
We're
be
doing
fun.
like it's going to be a trick or treat thing too. So ideally they're going to bring a bunch of kids out. We've got our prize wheel, obviously, for the kids, and then we're going to have candy as well. So yeah, it'll be a good time.
That's
It'll be a
awesome.
good time. That one, and then we're also going to be doing First Fridays now. We actually got a spot downtown Phoenix at
Nice.
Glass on Bud's Glass, their patio on
Yeah.
First Fridays. So
Nice.
that'll be a really good spot for us.
I was
to
gonna
be.
ask, and when is First Friday? Not like it's. I know that it's the first Friday, but I'm
Yep.
like, when is that? Is that next? That's next Friday. Then yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure is next Friday.
That's fantastic. So, what any final thoughts from each of you, and then where can people find you each on social media and find Kylar and Keera on social media?
Final thoughts. Yeah, no, this is something that I mean, I've been talking to you about this as far as the working with you and Mercury and doing
Yeah.
more stuff like that. I enjoy it. I want to do more stuff like this, and I'd like the fact that we can have like a booth set up, and maybe Age of Radio is out there being like,
Mhm.
hey, come check out Kylar and Keera at this thing. We can collaborate more. That's going to be fun. As far as where you can find me, I'm the Foul-Mouthed Heathen on
Instagram. On Instagram. Yep. And we obviously have our Kylar and Keera. So you can just do the Kylar _ Keera as our Instagram handle there. So
Perfect. All right. Well, I appreciate both of you. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to talk a little bit. I had a great time. We'll have to have you back.
Yep.
And I appreciate you both. And anybody that's watching, again, my name is Jeremy. This is a new segment called Conversations with Jeremy. We'll be doing these lives. The goal is to do them as frequently as possible. So if you're interested in being on the show, reach out to me at support@ageofradio.com. SUPPORT. I think that's how you spell support, at ageofradio.com. And make sure you check out our Mercury show every Friday. It's on the Age of Jeremy YouTube and on the Age of Radio verse YouTube for Age of Radio. And that is a show about podcasting and other pop culture news. We do that 6:30 p.m. Eastern on most Fridays. And with that, as I always say, be thankful, grateful, and kind. And we'll talk with you guys soon. Bye.
bye.
Right.